Carolina Panthers football is being brought to you by Panthers Checking, only from Bank of America. By Pepsi. No matter where you're from, welcome home. Pepsi, born in the Carolinas. By Sacrete. No matter what projects are in your lineup, Sacrete has the right concrete and masonry products for the job. Use what the pros use. Ask for Sacrete at your local home improvement store. By Autobell. Autobell is the car wash provider of the Carolina Panthers. By Bojangles. It's bow time at Bojangles. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits is the official tailgating headquarters of the Carolina Panthers. And by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
A shot of the legendary Sam Mills statue outside Bank of America Stadium, where the fans continue to file in and the rain continues to fall down here on a rather soggy Saturday night. Nothing too major as we get ready for the Gatorade Heard Around the Core report. Standing by is the third member of our broadcasting team. He's trying to stay dry tonight. That's Pete Yannity. Pete?
That's right, Mike. You know, Ron Rivera has said one of the goals of him and his staff and this organization is to create position groups that are dynamic. And during the offseason, the compressed offseason, one area the Panthers have really worked toward that is at tight end. The lone holdover is Gary Barnes, but they added 3 guys who have 21 seasons of experience in the NFL. Hartsock is known for his blocking, but Greg Olsen and Jeremy Shockey are fellas who are really big-time targets that can add yards after the catch. And keep in mind, when you've got Olsen and Shockey, guys who have been around this league, they also provide very safe targets for young quarterbacks, and isn't that critical going into this season, too?
Well, no doubt about it, Pete, and that'll take some of the pressure off maybe the youngest group of quarterbacks in the NFL this year for the Panthers. And they don't just have experienced tight ends, they have weapons in Shockey and Olsen. That's going to make life a little bit easier for Jimmy Clausen and Cam Newton. The Panthers are going to take the opening kickoff. Mike Goodson, who had a tremendous year last season, the third-year man out of Texas A&M, will take the kickoff. It'll be Lawrence Tynes kicking it off for the Giants. The Panthers struggled on offense. They struggled on defense last year. The special teams was not exactly stellar either. So a fresh start across the board. Everybody ready for that, and so are we. We are under the lights here on a Saturday night. And as toe meets the leather, the new era in Panthers football begins. Goodson, 7 yards back in the end zone, going to take it out. Trying to find some room up the middle and plows ahead to about the 22-yard line. Let's take a look at the Miller Lite starting lineups. First for the Panthers offense. Some guys out of the lineup tonight, but a lot of the stars are in there, including DeAngelo Williams. In his 6th year, he was banged up much of last season. We talked about the tight ends and Shockey. Brandon LaFell, a lot of eyes on him, including Nene, the pickup from San Diego. This could be one of the strengths of this team, that offensive line. Gross, Wharton, Khalil, Bernardo, and Ota. A couple of Pro Bowlers in that group, and there is a look at Jimmy Clausen. He started 10 games a year ago. Quite frankly, it was not a fair way to assess just how good a quarterback he is. He'll get a better shot at it in year number 2. First pass is complete at the 40 to Brandon LaFell, who's past midfield and one away to start off 2011.
Well, you look at this is the way that you want to start a football game. We're not running the ball. We're going to go downfield. You got LaFell, just makes a little nod inside, catches the ball, protects the ball. This is the way that you get your team going. We're not going to be conservative. We're going to be aggressive. And we talked about Jimmy Clausen being more accurate this year. That's the way that you get confidence in your young quarterback. How about a 31-yard hookup for the first play for Jimmy Clausen? Hand off to Williams, and he is smothered in the backfield, a loss of 2. As we continue with the starting lineups brought to you by Miller Lite. The Giants defense, it's been salty over the years, usually one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. Justin Tuck, always a guy that's tough to block. Pierre Paul, in his 2nd year now out of South Florida, can also be tricky. Of course, Umanura has not signed as of yet, so he's not there. Goff, the former Georgia Bulldog, Kiwanuka, Boley out there as well. And then the secondary, Webster, Thomas, Phillips, and Roll. Back to the ground game, back to Williams, but again the same result, nothing doing, as he was tripped up at the line of scrimmage by Jonathan Goff. One thing that you see already, you're seeing one-back sets, you're seeing formations change, you're seeing people move, you're seeing the tight end move. and this is going to keep the defense off balance. This is something that's different this year with the one-back set. A lot of times we saw the fullback having a two-back set power game. You get more flexibility with this one-back set.
Now on 3rd down and long. Clausen will operate out of the shotgun. Clausen fires, intercepted at the 45, and a whole lot of daylight. That is Michael Boley, the linebacker, and he will walk into the end zone. Touchdown, Giants. Pierre Paul was in the face of Clausen, and that might have been the difference on this throw.
I really feel this is a miscue. They weren't on the same page because D'Angelo was open right off the bat and just didn't turn around. I don't know if that's communication with the quarterback or the running back not turn his head, but that's a costly mistake that puts 6 on the board for the other team.
51-yard return by Michael Boley, and Clausen would love to have that one back. Times, the NFL's first Scottish-born player on the field. Snap good, and he hammers it home, and just like that, the Giants lead it 7-0. An early turnover, and the Panthers will get it back when we return from Charlotte. Well, a little more than 2 minutes off the clock on that first drive. It started in a big way, a 31 pass play from Clausen to LaFell, but then the turnover and the interception return. Jimmy Clausen looking for intended target down the field, but instead found Michael Boley, who returned it, now officially called a 56-yard interception return. So Goodson back for the 2nd time tonight, and we'll see the Panthers in drive number 2. Nobody has really given us definitive word on how long Clausen will be out there versus Cam Newton, but you can expect to see both get plenty of snaps tonight. The number 3 guy is Derek Anderson. This is Goodson again from the end zone. Goodson sheds one tackler, cuts it upfield, and just stumbles down to the 30-yard line. Otherwise, it could have been a big one. Mike Rucker, let's take a look at that last interception play. What do you see on replay?
Well, you see this receiver right here. He's going to go down the field, and he's going to do a clear out. When you see D'Angelo doesn't get his head back fast enough on the out route right here. He should be out quicker. You look at the quarterback right here. He does a soft throw, and then the running back doesn't turn his head quick enough, and then with the bad throw, that gets you 6. That's something that can be fixed when you look at game film tomorrow.
It's a learning curve, no question about it, still going on for Clausen as D'Angelo Williams continues to try to find daylight. Can't do it, smothered by 99 Chris Canty. Give him 3, maybe a short 4. And it'll be 2nd down for this Panthers offense, which was dead last in virtually every category last season.
You know, I go back to that kickoff. You're seeing the kickoff going further into the end zone. Mike Goodson, he's aggressive. He's taking it halfway back in the end zone and taking that out. He's being real aggressive with that and giving them good starting field position.
Yeah, for those that don't know, kickoffs are now from the 35-yard line. That should have a pretty big impact on special teams. Tough throw out in the flat, intended for the fullback Fiametta. Fiametta only caught 5 balls last year. That's really not a big part of his repertoire. So already it'll be 3rd down and long. And many of the fans here, we've got a good crowd tonight, a little bit frustrated. Ron Rivera, he made no bones about it when we met with him earlier in the week. This game does mean something to him. It is special. It's the first time he's been a head coach in the NFL. 3rd down conversions, like every other offensive statistical category, not very impressive for the Panthers last year, just 3 out of 10. On 3rd down and 6, Clausen buried behind the line, a loss. That's Pierre Paul, who was in his face on the interception, and the 2nd-year man out of South Florida makes a big play here. A loss of 9 on the play.
We call this a coverage sack. The offensive line is giving them time. No one was open. It was a good defense. They ran the offensive play. Sometimes he's going to have to be able to throw that ball away and get it away when he has a guy up in his face.
No Steve Smith in the lineup tonight. Panther receivers are going to have to prove they can separate. punt is fielded at the 24. And immediately, great coverage there on special teams by the Panthers. Kealoha Polaris, the rookie receiver at the University of Hawaii. Back after a word from your local Panthers station. Get a little tutoring over there. That's Mike Shula. He is the quarterback's coach, former head coach of Alabama. He's been a long-time assistant in the National Football League, and he will help out Rob Chudzinski, the new offensive coordinator, with Jimmy Clausen, with Cam Newton, and the rest of the quarterbacking crew. Giants have it on offense for the first time tonight from the 26. On play action, Manning tries to dump it down to Bradshaw, but it's in the ground. Everett Brown with great pressure for the Panthers. The Miller Lite starting lineups, the offense for the Giants, pretty good. I mean, they can run, they can throw. They've got two very good receivers. Bradshaw with a career year last year, over 1,000 yards. Very solid up front as well. Couple of Pro Bowlers, Dio and Snee at the guard spots, both making the Pro Bowl last year. And then, of course, Eli Manning. Eli Manning, it was really a roller coaster ride for him last season. Yes, he threw for over 4,000 yards, but he also threw a career-high 25 interceptions. Manning cocks and fires, quick slant, complete, and first down yardage for number 88, Hakeem Nicks, former first-round pick out of North Carolina, a gain of 14. Defensively for the Carolina Panthers, Eric Norwood, second-year man out of South Carolina. He's been a big story in camp. He'll be the starting defensive end. Everett Brown filling in for Charles Johnson. Irvin and Fua up the middle. Gaither, Connor, and Anderson compose of the linebacking core tonight. The secondary is led by Godfrey and Martin, two very talented safeties who Ron Rivera was raving about in our meetings earlier this week. On 1st and 10, a big alley on the right side for Bradshaw. First down yardage and then some. Ahmad Bradshaw rips off 17 yards, was barely touched before Martin brought him down.
Well, somebody's missing their assignment. Somebody's got, that linebacker's got to come over the top. You leave a gaping hole. The wide receiver gets a great block on C.J. Wilson. C.J.'s going to have to get off that block. Yes, they're holding, but you know what? You got to get off that block. This is going to be football. There's holding every play that the referee can call. That's something that C.J.'s going to have to work and get off that block.
On first down, Bradshaw tripped up in the backfield. Good pursuit that time. Big Corey Irvin in his third year out of the University of Georgia, former third-round pick. Hasn't seen the field much in his first 2 years. He was actually cut by the Panthers, then re-signed. As of right now, he's going to be one of the starters.
Yeah, I mean, he's a starter right now. He's going to have an opportunity to show this coaching staff that, hey, I can play. There's a reason why they drafted me. And, yes, I had a little slow start, but I'm here. I'm going to show you I can play.
He's going to try to stuff the middle. Big guy at 6'3", 302 pounds. 2nd and 11. Manning, quick drop. Fires underneath, complete. The Giants also like to go to the tight ends. That's Jake Ballard.
They use their tight ends a lot, and this is just a little out route on James Anderson. James Anderson had a great year last year. You're going to have to play tight coverage. This is going to happen, but you give yourself an opportunity on third down. This is an opportunity that they need to get after the quarterback.
Third down last year for the Giants, just shy of 36%. This is third of about 3. Ware, the lone back for New York, passes incomplete. Boy, he had Hakeem Nicks had a couple of steps, but the ball was overthrown, and that'll set up a 4th down. Sherrod Martin was on the coverage.
These young guys, this is a young team, a young defense. You have some starters out on defense. So these are opportunity for these young guys to get some playing time. You're going against some quality NFL receivers. And so this is an opportunity for them to get better and show this coaching staff, hey, I might not start, but I can show you that I can play, I can make this team.
A little bit of a shocker here. On a wet track, Lawrence Tynes is about to attempt a 56-yard field goal. Snap, hold, or good. Kick is on the way. Kick is no good. Wide right. And the Panthers will have good field position on their third drive of the night. Giants still leading it 7-0. There's a look at the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Ron Rivera. a very distinguished resume. He's been interviewed for a head coaching job a number of times. Now he's finally got it after having a great run in San Diego. The Chargers had the #1 defense in the league last year. Spent a number of years there, a pit stop in Chicago, and also a good amount of time with Philadelphia as well. And he's brought some coordinators from those 2 stops. He brought Chudzinski from San Diego and McDermott, the defensive coordinator, who spent much of his career with the Eagles. This is D'Angelo Williams in the flat and tripped up out of bounds inside the 40-yard line. 16-yard scamper for the young man out of Memphis, D'Angelo Williams.
You start out with great field position, and then you catch this defense off guard with a little screen to D'Angelo. This is what he does best, catching the ball out of the backfield. It's good to see him healthy, back on the field. Again, giving the offense great field position.
Just 2 years ago, he ran for over 1,100 yards. Last year, battling injuries, just 361. Williams a much bigger weapon than that, and a nice jitterbug move there, and Williams breaks it outside and is shoved out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. D'Angelo Williams is one of the more shifty backs around, Mike Rucker. You might think you've got him in the crosshairs, but not always.
Well, I tell you what, I lost him in the crowd. I thought that they were bringing him down, and all of a sudden he squirts out. The one thing I like about this offense so far, you're seeing big plays. They are getting big chunk plays, and you know what, Jeremy Shockey, they say he's a pass-catching tight end, but he can block too. And that's what you need in this offense, a guy that can catch and block.
Panthers on the move inside the 20. Crossing to the air, end zone, caught, touchdown, Greg Olsen, one of the newcomers to the Panthers. One of the many talented tight ends on this team, and Jimmy Clausen threading the needle on that attempt.
That's one thing we talked about. He put last year behind him, and you can see his confidence. The offensive line is giving him time. He sees Greg Olsen. There's a reason why they brought him here, because he can catch the ball. And this team that was not very good in the red zone found a way to get the ball inside for a touchdown.
18 yards, Clausen to Greg Olsen. And one of the newcomers to the special teams, Alindo Mare, in his 15th year, on for the extra point. And he knocks it through, and just like that, we are tied at 7. 7:42 remaining in the first quarter, and that man, Jimmy Clausen, awfully happy. We're back after a word. 7-7 our score, 7 minutes 42 seconds remaining in the first quarter as we look at our Belk scoring drive. 3 plays, 55 yards, an 18-yard hookup from Clausen to one of the new weapons in this offense, Greg Olsen. And Mike Rucker, Pete Yanity talked about how important the tight ends will be this year in the offense. We saw him on that drive blocking and catching.
You've already seen it quite a bit. I mean, you've seen Shockey earlier making a big block to spring D'Angelo. You see Greg Olsen up the seam for the touchdown. And that's something that a lot of people have been talking about and looking about in this offense, is what role is this tight end going to play? You let some tight ends go, you bring 3 new tight ends in, and all of a sudden you see production already.
Mare, who's got one of the best legs out there. And this one will be fielded inside the 5 by Jernigan, a rookie out of Troy, and he is hammered at about the 22-yard line. Looked like number 83, Charlie Martin, who if he's going to make this team, he's going to have to make some great plays on special teams.
And that's exactly what you got to do. You know, you might not be a starter, so you're going to have to make this football club on special teams. And I tell you what, plays and hits like that, it's going to get the special teams and coaches' attention.
A very competitive camp for wide receivers, with the Panthers bringing some new guys in. Charlie Martin could be the odd man out, but again, special teams could be the ticket. On first down, the Giants back to the running game. Couple yards for Bradshaw. Dan Connor, a tackling machine out of Penn State, now in his 4th year, and on the stop. Bradshaw 1,200 yards last year, 7th round pick out of the University of Marshall back in 2007. This seems like the Giants have great running backs every year.
And they do, and I think this is a great test for this young defense. I mean, this is an experienced quarterback, won a Super Bowl a few years ago, so this is a good test.
2nd and 8, Manning Boy, he had some hot pursuit. That ball's incomplete. The rookie, Sione Fua, 6'1", 310-pounder out of Stanford, and he comes right through the line.
A big fella from Stanford just gives him a little slap rip and right into Eli Manning's face. That's the kind of pressure that you need. It doesn't give that the offense doesn't have time to let that gel. And that's something that this defense needs. A young guy like Fua, that's what gets you off to a good start. That gets his energy going, gets this crowd going. It plays like that.
And you can hear the crowd now. 3rd down and 8. Bradshaw and Ware, the backs. Manning dumps it over the middle for Ware, but he is popped and dropped inside the 30. A gain of 5, but a game tackle. C.J. Wilson, James Anderson, number 50, putting the hit on Ware, and the New York Giants will have to punt it away.
Here's a look. The defense set themselves up for a 3rd and 8, 3rd and long. So Eli has to go to the check down. This is what the defense is about. Let them check it down, and you swarm to the ball, and you get off the field as a defense. 3 and out. That's what the defense is all about.
There's some excitement in the crowd. A, because the Giants are going to punt. B, Armani Edwards, who did not have a great rookie campaign. They want to see what this young man can do. Well, we know he can dance, and we know he can run, and we know he's got some moves, and he's past the 35 and down to the 37-yard line. Great return by Armani Edwards.
Listen to the crowd. Listen to this. Look at the bench. Everybody is excited. It's exciting. And this is the place that Armani Edwards he brings to the table that you didn't see last year. We talked about earlier the little things that you got to do to make the team. Look at these 2 guys on this gunner. They're staying with them. They don't know where the ball's at. They know Armani Edwards didn't know. They didn't know he cut back. They stayed on the ball. If you've ever been around football as a player, as a coach, you've always heard go whistle to whistle. And that's what those guys did. They went to, they heard the whistle, and that broke Armani Edwards for the big game.
21 yards on the return, and boy, does that mean a lot for his confidence. Penalty flags on 1st down, and that'll be a false start. And all right, good.
Offense number 73, 5-yard penalty is still 1st.
That is our referee for tonight, Mike Carey, one of the better ones around. And that'll make it 1st down and 15. Going back to Armani Edwards for a bit, Mike, I think there's so much added pressure when you are kind of a hometown hero, not Charlotte, but not too far down the road in Boone, North Carolina, where he was one of the most electric players in all college football at Appalachian State. Last year, a lot of nerves. He had the fumbles. This is a fresh start for that young man. 1st and 15, Clausen rolling out, looking downfield, and wisely throws it away. There was nobody open on that play. Our belt player watch tonight is none other than D'Angelo Williams. Last year he missed 10 games. Again, only rushed for 361, but the year before that, 1,100 plus yards. 2 years ago, Mike Rucker, 1,500 and change. We know when he's healthy, he's one of the best backs in football.
You know, when you have the offensive line healthy, you got those backs. They've got a bunch of backs back there that can do a lot of different things. And that's going to be very nice for an offensive coordinator to have those kind of weapons back there.
Jonathan Stewart to the left of Clausen. He'll get it. 1st carry of the night. Stiff arm. Ragdolls one defender. Squirts out of the hold of 2 others and somehow gets some positive yardage on that play. I don't know how he did it. Little Houdiniac by Stewart. Corey Webster and Pierre Paul finally bring him down.
You know, you have a running back there that the play didn't go the way that he wanted to in the beginning, but you know what? He kept going, and he keeps his feet going, and he's a stocky back that you're going to have to bring more than one guy to bring him down. He is very pivotal in this offense, and that's why they call him double trouble.
8 yards for Stewart. Williams will give him a breather. 3rd down and 7 for Clausen and company. Clausen again under hot pursuit. Looks downfield, completes for a 1st down at the 45, and again it's Brandon LaFell. A late penalty flag comes in from deep in the secondary, and we'll see what the call is. He might have gone out of bounds before coming back in. It's a 20-yard pickup. You see one of the officials throwing the hat. That typically means somebody went out of bounds, so this might be called back.
Well, this is Clausen playing smart. He rolls out of the pocket. He buys himself time. The play before, he threw the ball away. He didn't force it.
Illegal touching. Offense number 11 went out of bounds. Was the first attempted pass. 5-yard penalty. So third down.
And that's exactly what the penalty is.
And you see Clausen, he's making some good decisions. There was one decision earlier that turned into a touchdown. He's thrown that in the bag and kept pressing on, being aggressive. He's allowed himself some smart moves, some smart throws. That play right there where a guy goes out of bounds, he's playing hard, but I like that he did not give up on that play. We'll throw it down to Pete. And Pete, what do you think?
Well, remember Rob Jasinski this week when we were visiting with him, Mike, the new coordinator on the offense for the Panthers, talking about how he really just wants consistency out of these young quarterbacks first and foremost. And for Jimmy Clausen especially, who had a rough 2010, he's really been trying to hammer that point home. Stay within yourself and kind of keep things basic, as we see right there.
Maybe a wise move there as nobody was open again on 3rd and 12. A pickup of 4 yards, but the Panthers will have to punt it away. Pierre Paul, boy, we've called his name about 4 or 5 times already tonight. Second-year man out of South Florida on the stop of Jimmy Clausen. And to go back to your point, Mike Rucker, not only was it good to see Jimmy Clausen, as you see Rob Jasinski, who makes his way over from San Diego, did a fine job with the Chargers. But Brandon LaFell, it seems like every year we're bringing up this subplot where the Panthers have a number 2 story, a number 2 wide receiver rather. And it looks like right now, Brandon LaFell could be the guy. On the return, it's Jernigan. Jernigan down to the 23, and we'll see what the penalty flag is here. A return of 8 yards. A punt of 46 yards by the veteran Jason Baker.
Illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 26. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Now, it's been a unique year, as we talked about. Let's find out how Ron Rivera has been preparing his team in an unusual season.
There was a lot of anxiety just because we didn't quite know what all the rules were going to be in terms of practice length, practice conditions, the way you were allowed to practice, whether it was fully padded, partially padded, helmets, no helmets, the amount of time you were allowed to spend on the field, the amount of meeting time. That was tough because we had to adjust, constantly adjust. And eventually, I think we found a schedule that fits us.
And that's something that, the schedule had changed, and them being behind the 8 ball, that's very difficult. It's difficult to get a playbook and have a short amount of time, practice time, the schedule would change. We're creatures of habit. So they have done a great job of getting the guys in the fold and getting them on the same page.
Ron Rivera actually could quote how many snaps have been missed this year with the abbreviated time to get ready for this season. No OTAs, no mini camp, no two-a-days anymore. And I'm sure as a former player, you probably wouldn't miss two-a-days, right?
Oh, yeah, especially the older you get, the better it would have been. The young guys, they don't know what they're missing, because they never had to do that. But, especially the rookies. But it's a necessary evil because you need that work. You need to get that playbook in. You got to have your body conditioned for, the opening week when, you got the roster cut down and you're going full tilt with not a lot of backup. So it's one of those necessary evils that you have to have.
I think we all expected a lot of rusty play, some sloppiness, but so far this game's actually been pretty clean overall. Not much doing again on the ground game for the Giants, just a gain of 2 there. James Anderson, boy. James Anderson burst onto the scene last year, 130 tackles, big on this play.
Well, we've seen him get into the quarterback's face, and now we're seeing him stop the run. That defensive line is doing a great job of standing up the offensive linemen, allowing their linebackers and the safety to come down and make the tackles. 2 run plays, they've stuffed them. They're doing a great job on defense. Now here's 3rd and long. Here's where you pin your ears back and try to get after that quarterback.
We're the lone back for Eli Manning, who's going to operate out of the shotgun. On 3rd and 6, has time, walks it down the far sideline and through the hands of 88 Hakeem Nicks. Pretty good coverage there by R.J. Stanford, first-year man out of Utah. He was on the practice squad last year. He'll get a chance to play this season.
I tell you what, R.J. Stanford, he's out there by himself on a good receiver, and he's holding his own. He's being aggressive, and that's what this defense is about, is being aggressive and challenge the play. Now, Eli, you've been around a long time. Hey, you're going to get some bumps and bruises. The calls will go your way sometimes, but not that time.
Eli not afraid to do a little griping. Edwards back to receive at the 25. Shakes and bakes at the 32. Look at this. Armani Edwards past midfield and tackled from behind at about the 49 of New York. Armani Edwards with 2 electric returns. A 59-yard punt, a 29-yard return.
You see the excitement. He is not a rookie anymore. He is shaking and he is baking and he is getting down the field. You might not be able to impact it on the receiver. Well, you know what? They call you on special teams, and he's making an impact on the special teams with 2 big returns. That is a momentum booster, and it gets the offense excited.
I think Armani Edwards is starting to make a statement here tonight. He wants to be involved a little bit more than last year as Stewart plows ahead for 4 yards. Well, Jimmy Clausen today, Mike, as you take a look at the young man, what have you seen?
Well, you know, he throws the interception, okay? He did not let that bother him. Yes, it's a pick 6, but you know what? He comes back. He drops off to his running back to give him some confidence back. He hits his tight end for a touchdown. He's rolling out of the pocket. He is rebounded from that interception, and that's what you want to see in a young quarterback, how he rebounds for something bad.
On 2nd down and 6. Again under hot pursuit and dragged down from behind. Boy, somebody's got to put a hat on number 90. Jason Pierre-Paul has been an unbelievable wrecking machine here in this first quarter. A 9-yard loss.
He's been all over the place. Special teams, he's been, giving Jordan Gross run for his money. You know, this is not necessarily on Jordan because, he pushes him wide. He rolls out, the quarterback rolls out of the pocket. That will happen. But you'll have better plays more times than not. But he's been all over the place tonight.
2 sacks already for number 90. 3rd down and 15. Clausen settles, fires, and completes. And that's our first look at Legadou Nene, who struggled with injuries last year in San Diego. 5th-year man out of Boise State, and he's one of the guys vying for that number 2 wideout spot.
And, with Geddes going down, that's going to open up another spot for a guy to come in. Nene, he knows the offense coming from San Diego. He's been around a few years. So that's a veteran that they can use on this team to help these young guys along with Steve Smith. Because Steve needs that second receiver. And now he's a good guy for this football team.
Now Steve Smith out for this game. Nothing big. He should be back with us next week. In fact, the injury happened somewhat encouraging, I guess. Cam Newton, who throws such a hard ball, he actually hurt his hand on catching one of the passes thrown in practice by Cam Newton. Originally, they were worried it might have been a broken finger, but it's not, just a cut. He'll be back soon, and Steve Smith will be back again, and a key cog in this offense now in his 11th season. Oh, how the time flies. Baker trying to pin it inside the 20, can't do it. The Giants will get it from the 20 when we return. A 51-yard punt and no return as we near the end of the first quarter, 34 seconds. Well, one thing's for sure, Mike, there's a buzz in the air that, quite frankly, was not here last season. You've got some guys now, John Beeson, one of the veterans on this team that can spark you. He's healthy again. Thomas Davis is healthy again. Cam Newton, we will see him tonight. He will excite you no matter what happens. He will definitely bring some excitement. I think everybody was just ready for a new regime now in Panther history.
You're definitely getting the energy, and even though those guys aren't out there, some of these younger guys are picking up the baton and taking it out.
Manning fakes the handoff. All kinds of time. Ooh, great pass, but even a better defensive play. Again, that is Robert McClain. He's out of UConn in his 2nd year.
This is a great job of a corner, what we call competing. He's aggressive with the ball. He's coming right back to the ball. He's playing that receiver. There's a little bit of hand checking, but he's aggressive. And again, I go back to the attitude, whether it's the offensive side of the ball or defensive side of the ball. We are going to be aggressive, and we are going to challenge every play. And that's exactly what he did on that play.
That's the word we heard all week from the coaches: attack. Offensively, attack. Defensively, attack. No more conservative style on either side of the ball, as Manning, not known as a runner, but every now and then he'll take off. Get some positive yards there, 6 in fact. And that'll set up a 3rd and short. As that could be the final play of the first quarter. Cam Newton, he might be ready for quarter number 2. He's warming up on the sidelines.
You know, the one thing that we haven't touched on much is talking about the field position. You know, and we're going to go to break, and we're going to be out of this quarter. But Cam is warming up, and we're going to be excited to see him. Jimmy Clausen has done well. Hopefully, we'll see the young guy.
And we are back. The start of the second quarter about to get underway. Cam Newton continues to warm up. Jimmy Clausen, the one big mistake on the interception, but overall a touchdown pass looked pretty sharp as we look at our first quarter stats brought to you by the Bank of America. Total yards, that's encouraging. The Panthers outdoing the Giants in that category. The one turnover, neither team able to get it going on 3rd down thus far. And there's another opportunity on 3rd down and 4. Panthers showing blitz. Draw play, and the Panthers snuffed it out. Jordan Sen, 4th-year linebacker, wraps him up. A gain of just 2.
That was a great play by the defensive line. You know, you got a 3rd and short. You think you're going to get a pass play and check down. In the defensive line, you react to draws. You don't play the draw, you react to the draw, and they're getting off the field, getting their special teams on the field.
Let's see if Armani Edwards can dazzle us a little bit more here. He's done so on the first 2 returns. This time calls for the fair catch at the 30, and that's where the Panthers will take over. A 42-yard punt with no return. Looks like number 1 is going to hit the field when we return. Back after a word from your local Panthers station. Well, the rain has stopped, and the new era of Carolina Panther football has begun with Cam Newton now. The first drive of the second quarter for the Panthers. Where do you start with this guy? Well, let's see. He's won a national title the last 2 years he's played in college football. One at little-known Blinn Junior College. Then, of course, with the Auburn Tigers last season, he won a Heisman Trophy. He led the SEC in rushing as a quarterback. But that's a little bit misleading. Make no mistake about it. This guy can throw, and that's why he was the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Newton on play action. Looks downfield. Little dump pass. Complete to the tight end. That is Greg Olsen. His 2nd catch of the night. 11 yards for the first down. And a nice play call there, Mike Rucker.
How about that? You know his heart was pounding out there. So what does Chud do? The offensive coordinator. He gives him a soft rollout play. Gives him an easy dump off to his tight end to move the sticks. That's a great play to get the young guy going. Get him some confidence early, and that's a good play.
And that is one thing that Cam Newton does not lack, is confidence. You watch this guy in practice, and he's still figuring some things out. He's still learning some things, but he's definitely not bashful. You look at him, and you can tell he's just dying to get out there and show what he can do. Newton pumps and goes. Pass up and incomplete. Olsen, who goes about 6'5", left his feet, almost hauled that one in. Let's take a look at the background of Cam Newton. Again, the first overall pick, the Heisman Trophy winner. Look at the numbers passing the football. 2,854 yards, 30 scores, 7 picks, and he ran for over 1,400 to lead the SEC. It's one of the most impressive seasons I've ever seen in college football.
I tell you what, that's a nice resume. A lot of people wish that they had that kind of resume.
Now the question becomes, how will it translate to the next level like so many young quarterbacks? This is Goodson. And Goodson turns on the Jets, sprints forward, and he's got first down yardage. 11 yards for Mike Goodson, 3rd-year man out of Texas A&M, who actually led the team last year with 3 rushing touchdowns.
What I like to see is this offensive line. You see a wall of white jerseys allowing Mike Goodson to scoot underneath the radar and then pop out the backside. This is a great job by the offensive line, and then Mike Goodson takes over and does what he does best, and that's move the chains.
A lot of people think Mike Goodson might be the best number 3 tailback in the league. He's going to draw a lot of attention. He's probably the fastest of the 3 backs. A little razzle-dazzle here. This is David Clowney. David Clowney finds the marker and then some before he's pushed out of bounds. 4th-year man out of Virginia Tech, number 87, David Clowney.
Well, it's just a little bit of a reverse. Cam Newton coming out, getting in the action. Just a little reverse toss to Clowney, coming back out the backside. Cam, he's a big guy. He's weighing about 250. He says, you know what, I'm a quarterback, but I can get 32. And he makes a great block to spring him, Clowney around the corner. I like the play calling. They're aggressive. They're throwing the ball. They're switching it up. It's making it hard for this defense to lock in on them.
Nene, you see in the slot. Clowney's at the bottom of your screen. Newton fires, complete, inside the 10, a frozen rope to Greg Olsen. And the crowd is loving what they see out of number 1.
I see a lot of smiles in this stadium and on that bench over there. You talk about an NFL throw. Look at the strong arm on a rope and a nice catch. Cam poised in the pocket. The offensive line gives him room and time to throw the ball. That is what a confidence builder. That's what we call a confidence builder, and that was a great throw by the young quarterback.
A 30-yard completion as the Panther offense continues to move. Goodson pushes the pile a little before being dragged down. Let's take a look at the CPI Security Systems red zone stats for this Panther team. Last year, it struggled. Let's face it, 30%. A lot of missed opportunities, unable to cash in. You would think with healthy running backs, a passing game, it's more of a threat, a healthy offensive line, Mike, that number should be much better.
Much better. It's going to be much better because of the tight end. The tight ends love the red zone. That's where they're utilized the most, is in the red zone. So you struggled last year, you didn't use your tight end. You'll see those numbers go up this year, hopefully, with those tight ends.
4 first downs on the drive. 2nd and goal. Newton fires in zone. Incomplete. Intended for, I believe, Brandon LaFell. Michael Coe was on the coverage.
And that was good coverage. That was good coverage. But you know what? Cam has got such a strong arm that he can be aggressive with his throws because it's going to be hard for that defender to catch that. And that was a great, the receiver was defended very well. It was a great ball, put it in the right spot. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
Now 3rd down and goal. D'Angelo Williams in motion at the top of your screen now. Empty backfield for Newton. Fires over the middle, incomplete. Again intended for LaFell. And again good coverage this time by Tyler Sash. So the field goal unit will come on, but the fans, you don't see an ovation very often after a drive stalls for a field goal attempt, but the fans recognizing some of the tools that man Cam Newton possesses.
We just saw the tip of the iceberg in this first quarter and the start of this second quarter.
Now the new kicker is Olindo Mare, filling in for the longtime face of the franchise in so many ways, John Casey. Mare, a 15-year veteran, splits the uprights from 26, and the Panthers take the lead. 10-7 our score. A productive drive for Carolina. Back with more from Bank of America Stadium in a moment. Productive drive for the Panthers, who now lead it by a score of 10-7. Our Belk scoring drive shows the numbers. 9 plays, 62 yards, 3 minutes and 36 seconds off the clock, and capped off by the Mare field goal. Cam Newton, 2 strikes for 40 yards, 4 first downs on the drive as the Panthers move the football. You know, last year in 4 preseason games, the Panthers did not score a single offensive touchdown. And you could say, well, it's only the preseason, records don't matter. But you could tell some things in these games, Mike. And when an offense is unable to move the football in the preseason, sometimes it's difficult to do so in the regular season. bobbled and picked up by Jernigan. And he is wrapped up inside the 15-yard line. We'll see what the Giants can do when we return back after a word from your local Panthers station.
It's the second quarter here in Charlotte. Panthers have a 10-7 lead. Pete Hannity back with you. We've talked a lot about what's new with the Panthers offense tonight, but on defense, the new coordinator is Sean McDermott. Came from the Eagles. He's a disciple of the late great Eagles defensive coordinator Jim Johnson. Ron Rivera says he likes McDermott's attention to detail and the fact that he believes in attacking and being aggressive. And, you know, from his college days, maybe he was destined to be an NFL defensive coach. On his William and Mary teams, he played with Mike Tomlin and Darren Sharper.
Yeah, heck of a safety back in his days. You see the Giants going back to the ground game. That's Brandon Jacobs, the bruising fullback out of Southern Illinois, who kind of runs like a running back. You've got Jacobs, you've got Bradshaw. A pretty good tandem in the backfield. 16 yards there. Biggest run play of the night for that man, Tom Coughlin and company. And going back to McDermott, he really had a tough situation when he took over the defense for Philadelphia, replacing one of the legendary coordinators in Jim Johnson. But anybody that saw what this guy has done over his career, before he was a coordinator, he was an assistant there for many years. This guy has had coordinator written all over him, and I think the Panthers were very excited to get him. I know Ron Rivera was. Nothing doing there for Brandon Jacobs. Good defense there by Ugo Chanasa, the rookie out of Oklahoma State. A lot of the backups in now on defense for the Panthers, but a lot of those guys trying to win jobs. There's a guy who expects to be starting. Thomas Davis, John Beeson, and James Anderson are going to be the starting linebacking core, and that should be one of the best around.
I mean, that's a strong linebacking core. And then you got some good backups out here getting some good work, so you're adding depth to those guys.
Second and long, 4-man rush. A dumped out pass to Ware. And that'll be about 7 yards. Speaking of Thomas Davis, let's get his thoughts on new coordinator Sean McDermott.
The overall game, you know, in the past we've played a more conservative cover 2 style defense, and now we're attacking. You know, we're coming down here, and I think we're using our speed and our ability on defense, and I think it's going to be very good for us this year.
You heard him say they used to play conservative. They're not playing conservative now. And if you've seen the first part of this half, they've been aggressive. And when you can get your guys to say, we're going to play to our strength, we're not the biggest guys, but we got speed, and the speed, get to the ball, that's what it's about.
The Giants 0 for 4 on third down. Third and a long one. Jacobs trying to squeeze out a yard. I don't think he did. Jordan Senn in the backfield trips him up. And it looks like he is shy, and the Giants will send the punting unit onto the field.
This is a great play. Number 57, he sheds. He just sheds and just gets that tight end and says, hey, you know what? I'm a defensive guy. I'm going to get you off of me, and I'm going to get to the play. You just heard Thomas Davis talk about being aggressive. That's being aggressive. You get your block, get off the block, and make a play.
Jordan Senn, his 4th year out of Portland State. Matt Dodge on the punt. High spiraling kick. Right near the sideline and unplayable for Amani Edwards. We'll see Cam Newton again. Let's find out Cam's thoughts on being in the spotlight.
Spotlight? I don't get the spotlight. You know, you scare me with the whole NFL spotlight. You know, I just call it, you know, just being me, just having fun doing, you know, what I love to do. That's going out and, you know, playing football.
Well, I met him for the first time earlier this week, and I tell you what, there's not too many quarterbacks that I look eye to eye with that weigh more than me. And so I got a little nervous, but I tell you what, he's a well-grounded kid, and he is up to the challenge of being one of the top quarterbacks in this league.
Rafael and Nene in this package, as well as Goodson in the slot. Tough snap, and Newton unable to do much with that one. Tracy nails him in the backfield. Let's talk about Mike Rucker's or Cam Newton rather, his first series. Mike, what do you think the young man did well?
Well, I thought he did a great job the very first play of his career. They roll him out, and they are able to get the ball out of his hands. But then they release and he gets out and gets a block, and then he gets a nice throw to his tight end down the middle of the field. He's doing a great job of being poised. He had 4 first downs. He's moving the ball, and that's what you like to see. Let him gain his confidence.
Penalty flag here.
75. 5-yard penalty, still second.
Back the Panthers up 5 yards. That is Lee Zimba. He's a 7th-round pick out of Auburn. He actually protected Cam's blind side last year, so they're certainly very familiar with one another, but apparently not familiar enough to get on cue on the snap count.
Yeah, you know, that's a little jitterness. You need to get that out. But going back to Cam, he's been really poised. You know, when the play breaks down, he made a guy miss. You know, those are the kind of things that you want from your quarterback to be able to get himself out of trouble sometimes.
All of a sudden, it's 2nd and 22. The Panthers will go to the ground game, and Goodson fumbles. Ball on the ground, picked up by the Giants. A penalty flag on the ground. So let's sort this one out. Alex Hall recovered it for the Giants. And it looks like the penalty will be against Carolina.
Number 72. Holding. Offense is declined on number 72. First down.
Duke Robinson, the guilty party on that one. So the 2nd turnover of the night by the Panthers offense. And the Giants will have the football in very good field position. Well, last year turnovers were really a major issue for the Panthers. 37 giveaways, 29 takeaways. That's a -8 margin, and for an offense that really struggled to move, that's not a good enough number to win a lot of games. New quarterback in for the Giants, Sage Rosenfels. Seems like he's been around forever. And he's going to go to the air early, and it's dropped. Oh, right in the breadbasket. R.J. Stanford delivering the lick, knocking that ball loose, but that one should have been caught.
You know, we talked about turnovers, and we just seen those stats. You know, that's going to be tough to win ball games when you turn the ball over. This is a great play by the defense and swarming to the ball and being aggressive and knocking and not giving the window for the quarterback to just have an easy toss and an easy pick.
You see the career numbers on Rosenfels. He was a 4th-round pick by the Redskins back in 2001. Started a lot of games when Steve Spurrier was the head football coach. Back to the ground, the Giants unable to really push the pile tonight. Panthers have been pretty stout on the line of scrimmage.
You know, as a coach, as a defensive coordinator, you don't want turnovers, you know, from your offense. But as a defensive coordinator, you want to see in preseason how your defense acts in a quick reaction when a turnover happens. So far, you got them 3rd and long, and you're already inside almost the red zone, so the defense can get after this quarterback on this 3rd and long.
Play clock ticking down. Rosenfels completes it, but well shy of the marker. Escorted out of bounds by Omar Gaither. Now in his 6th year. Gaither is the 2nd Charlotte native on the roster. Trent Guy is the other. And Omar Gaither will help give a little depth to that linebacking core.
He's got some experience in this defense, playing in Philly, playing under McDermott. He fits really well on this football team, adding some depth at the linebacker core.
Tynes on to attempt a 37-yarder. Hooking, and no good. Wide left. And the Panthers will hold on to the lead. The drive stalls. 10-7 our score. Back in a moment. Alongside former Carolina Panther Mike Rucker, I'm Mike Morgan. Glad to be with you on this Saturday evening. It started with rain. The skies have cleared out. Great crowd on hand for a preseason game. And we've seen some productive plays thus far from the Panthers as we take a look at the Bud Light NFL scoreboard. The Packers Leading the Browns by a field goal. Buffalo and Chicago in the first half, a 7-3 game. The Rams all over the Indianapolis Colts, 17-3 in the second quarter. Tennessee with an early lead on Minnesota, 7-zip. And our score here, the Panthers lead it by a field goal. Newton, again, no chance on that play. The Giants have read that one twice. Alex Hall right in the backfield. Fourth sack of the night for New York.
You know, this is the same play that happened early on. He's making the first guy miss, which is nice, but the second guy is the one that's been getting him. That's the offensive line. They've got to allow him some time. Even though it's a rollout and they're trying to move the pocket, they got to give him a little bit more time to get the play off.
8-yard loss. So again, the Panthers find themselves in second and long. Newton this time has a little time to work. Goodson down to the 30-yard line. Mike Goodson with an 11-yard pickup before Philip Dillard brings him down. Mike Goodson is a guy that really could probably start for a lot of teams in this league. He was a steal out of Texas A&M, and last year with all the injuries in the backfield, he stepped it up. In fact, had his first career 100-yard game. That came at Tampa. D'Angelo Williams in the game right now. Newton surveys, fires, incomplete. Great coverage again. It was intended for Nene. Mike, one of the issues for this Panthers offense is going to be wide receivers not named Steve Smith separating. We didn't see it there.
Yeah, and that's what you need. You need a guy that's going to be able to, you're going to have to be able to get away from that receiver, get yourself open to that guy.
Panthers now 0-6 on third down. Jernigan back again to receive the punt. Takes it on one bounce. And he is walloped near the 30. 5-yard return. And let's send it down to the field. And Pete Yannity standing by. Pete?
Well, Mike, coming up at halftime, it's the Verizon Halftime Show. We're going to visit with a guy who's become the anchor of the Panthers defense. John Beeson stops by. He's not in action tonight, but he's chomping at the bit to get back on the field and get back on the field with one of his favorite teammates. We'll visit with him. Plus also give you a look at what else is happening around the NFL on this preseason Saturday night, all coming up, and we see you on the Verizon Halftime Show.
All right, thank you so much, Pete. Certainly look forward to that. Fans have been looking forward to this first game. Everything got started a couple of nights ago in the preseason. And, you know, as we've talked about, Mike, this is not your typical week one of the preseason because coaches did not have nearly as much time to work with guys. Ron Rivera is on record as saying, I'm going to play the veterans more than I ever have in a preseason. In fact, Ron Rivera talking about that with us earlier in the week.
As a new coaching staff, we lost 24 practices, roughly 1,500 plays, and which is about equal to one season. And so you don't get that opportunity to learn, and so you are behind. But you got to look at it, everybody's in the same boat. So what you do from this point on is up to you, and how quickly you teach them, how quickly they learn, that's up to you. And so I try to tell our guys from the beginning, we control us.
And that's exactly right. When you talk about 1,500 snaps per se, you know, yes, everybody's going through it, but while they were behind the 8 balls, you got a new quarterback, you got a new head coach, and you got a young team. And so they've had to really kick it in overdrive. And I say that they're not coaching these players, they're teaching them. They're teaching them because this is a young crew, and they need to be taught how to play the game, the ins and outs. So the coaching will come later on in the year and later on 2-3 years from now. But right now, they're teaching these youngsters how to play football.
Those are two guys right there in that shot, in Clausen and Cam Newton, that certainly could have used extra time to prepare for this season, extra time learning the playbook, extra time working with receivers, more reps, learning the scheme, and obviously they didn't have it. That's why you hear everybody around the league say the veteran teams have a leg up this season more than ever because those guys were not as hurt as much by missing those 1,500 snaps. First down and 10 for New York. Pass is complete on the quick slant, and that'll be a first down. Dominic Hickson, 12-yard pickup there. And again, the Giants Pretty good receiving core. Hakeem Nicks has a chance to be a star. Manningham very solid, and Hickson a guy that is a good complement to those two.
You know, in the Giants offense, they've been around a while. You know, the coordinators and the guys have been around. They know how to move the ball. They know how to run the ball.
You look at the Giants' numbers from last year. They ran well. They threw well. But they led the NFL in turnovers, and that really was the difference. New York had 42 turnovers. That is very un-Tom Coughlin-like.
And that doesn't even fit his resume. And I know that he's been pulling his hair out over a stat like that. In this league, the offense, you have to protect the ball. The defense has got to take away the ball. And if those things are reversed, it makes for a long season.
So far, no turnovers for Coughlin and company. The Panthers would certainly like to force one. Under 3 minutes to play in the first half. Again to the air on second down. Through the hands of Hickson and incomplete. Good coverage again. Boy, R.J. Stanford is making a name for himself tonight.
And that's what R.J.'s got to do. R.J. has got to make plays. The corner spot on this team is one that's going to be question mark. Who's going to be your number 2, your 3? Who's going to be your nickel, your dime? These spots are open, and these guys got to make plays. And when you're out there, you got to make it. And that's what he's doing. Tonight he's made some plays. He's been in there. He's been tackling, and he's been aggressive towards the ball.
Panthers defense has stiffened up tonight on third down. The Giants 0 for 6 on third down conversions. Make it 1 for 7. Nice play there, and Hickson with a good grab. They needed 4. They got 4.5. Sage Rosenfels, who's been in the league now 11 years. Rarely starts anymore, just a backup that's bounced around from team to team. You can make a pretty good living doing that. It beats selling vacuum cleaners, that's for sure. 2-minute warning here. Back with more action here in the first half from Bank of America Stadium. Back after from a word from your local Panthers station. Half of that double trouble combination. D'Angelo Williams, who's the happiest he's been in a while since he is healthy and ready to go. And Steve Smith, he's happy that he's got some guys to take some attention off of him. And Mike, when you think about it, Steve Smith is a guy who wanted Greg Olsen 5 years ago coming out of the University of Miami, and now he's finally got him.
I mean, that says a lot about Steve and understanding and knowing talent out there to know that he needs a tight end that can catch the ball. And he's really going to like this year with him with his hand in the dirt.
Drive continues for the Giants on 1st and 10. Panthers with 5 on the line. Complete. And another first down at the 25-yard line.
The defense is going to get a little opportunity to work the 2-minute drill a little bit. This is always good. Speeds up the pace. This is some good film that they'll be able to watch tomorrow.
On first down, blitz coming, and down goes Rosenfels. That is number 29, Jordan Pugh. Pugh, a rookie out of Texas A&M.
And Pugh is a guy that they like. He's had a great training camp. Again, this defense blitzing at a great time to send the blitz, and a great sack by Jordan Pugh. Reason why that allowed him to work the defensive line is the guys that took up a lot of space and sold that this was just a one-on-one. Allowed Jordan Pugh to come unscathed for the sack. The corners, the secondary did a great job man-to-man, staying on top of everybody, allowing him to get that sack also.
Pugh actually in his second year, a tackling machine at Texas A&M in the Big 12. John Beeson going to chat with Pete Hannity at the half. We'll hear what John Beeson has to say. You know, he'll be excited. There's quite a University of Miami connection and flavor on this team. John Beeson, Jeremy Shockey, Ray Golson. Some pretty good playmakers from the U. Second down and long. High snap. Handoff, and immediately pummeled near the line of scrimmage. Gain of a couple. Thomas Williams, one of the guys in on the stop, second-year man out of Southern Cal, making life difficult for DJ Ware. Third and long, they're going to go to a no-huddle here. 3 in the pattern for Rosenfels. Dumps it down to Ware. Ware tripped up at the 20. That'll put him in good field goal range, but it'll be 4 yards shy of the marker. R.J. Stanford with another tackle. He's had a heck of a game tonight. Timeout called by the Panthers.
You can see a little whiff right there, but these guys swarming to the ball. Again, it doesn't allow them to get a first down. We call this a team tackling drill, swarming to the ball.
CPI Security Systems red zone stats for the Giants in the red zone. A little more than 57%, 31 touchdowns, and 13 field goals. 4th down here, and they will bring out the field goal unit. Giants missed one earlier. This one will be from 38 yards. Kick on the way, and this one will sail through, and that'll tie it up 10-all. Giants with an impressive drive. It stalls inside the 20. They settle for a field goal, and we've got a tie game late in this first half. Just 53 seconds remaining. Mike, what are some of the things that have stood out thus far in the first 30 minutes?
Well, I think the special teams, giving the offense a short field to play with. And I think the defense has not allowed this offense to go down the field and score. Even in turnovers, they're holding them to field goals. It was what you want the defense to do. The offense, they've gotten some first downs. They've moved the ball. I like that.
Let's hear from Jeremy Shockey on the young quarterbacks that the Panthers will be using this year.
You know, I remember when Eli Manning was a rookie, it was at times it was frustrating, but it was definitely a good feeling to see him grow and to see him achieve the things that he's done. So these guys are extremely, competitive with each other, and it's exciting to work with these guys, and it's going to take a little time for these guys to catch on to the speed and everything. But I think they're handling everything just fine right now.
Eli Manning, Super Bowl MVP, done well, had a great career so far. And I hope these young quarterbacks, they hope to be like Eli Manning, to have that Super Bowl ring too.
Jeremy Shockey's got 2 of them, one with the Giants, one with the Saints, as Goodson gallops to the 25-yard line. A look at the belt scoring drive for the Giants. Giants going 9 plays, 48 yards, a little under 3 minutes off the clock, a 38-yard field goal by Lawrence Tynes. Tie this one up. If you're just joining us, the Panthers scoring a touchdown early in this game. Jimmy Clausen with a touchdown pass, and Cam Newton, who's come in since, has looked very good. A couple of big pass plays for him. Newton has all kinds of time and finds an open man, and that is Ray Barnidge, who breaks a tackle and steals some more yards down the near sideline. Right now, Barnidge is the 4th string tight end. 18-yard pickup here. He's trying to make the roster.
Well, I don't think we've said the tight end word this many times in the last 3 preseason games. The tight ends are very active. And you know what? 2 guys touch him. He's a big body, and he did not allow them to bring him down. Moving the stick. Great opportunity for a young quarterback. Cam Newton throws the ball all the way across the field on a rope. Barnidge takes it the rest of the way to move the sticks and then gets out of bounds.
And now a little bit of confusion. Cam Newton not taking any chances will burn a timeout here. The 4 quarterbacks in camp for the Panthers. We've seen 2 of them, Clausen and Newton. Tony Pike, kind of a forgotten guy, a standout out of Cincinnati. Now in his 2nd year, saw a little bit of him last year. And Derek Anderson was kind of a surprise pickup. Now in his 6th season, Derek Anderson, who was a Pro Bowler just a couple of years ago, back in 2007. He started 9 games in Arizona last year, and it's been kind of a fall from grace for Derek Anderson. Nobody really can put their finger on how he went from such a great 2007, and now he's just fighting for a backup spot.
Well, he's a great safety valve for these 2 young guys. He can teach them. He knows the offense under Chet up in Cleveland. He had a Pro Bowl year up there, so it's a great safety valve.
Newton launching, going deep and incomplete. Some contact downfield intended for Charlie Martin. We've seen the officials kind of let him play tonight.
Well, this is just, hey, let me get down the field. Let's see who's fast. Hey, there's a lot of arm checking. I don't know what the refs are looking at, but I guess it's going both ways. They're both jockeying for position. I like Charlie Martin staying aggressive and trying to get after that ball. I know you hear the boo birds, but both of them were really aggressive in hand checking. That's just football.
That's right.
It's a contact sport. I'd let that one go.
Spoken like a true defensive man right there. 2nd down and 10. Newton settles, fires wide open at the 30. That's Edwards. And Armani Edwards in field goal range. The clock stops at 25 seconds. And the Panthers are on the move.
Well, these are just 2 young guys hooking up. Armani Edwards finds the soft zone and just sits down, and Cam does the rest. He puts it in the breadbasket. 2 young guys hooking up. You're going to see these 2 youngsters for a long time.
36-yard reception. Newton quickly gets the timeout to stop the clock, and the Panthers have a chance to get another score before the end of the half.
I like his vision. I like his vision downfield. Yes, they have some checkdowns, but he is throwing the ball downfield. And for a young guy to be able to do that, that's only going to be some more building blocks for him.
And how about Armani Edwards? 2 great returns. Last year, 0 receptions, 1 rush, a big catch there, and they hope to use him in the passing game this season. Newton with the blitz, lofts it up and incomplete. Barnidge was the only man in the area, but really Cam Newton, as he has a lot of times tonight, had to get that one away quickly.
Yeah, Armani Edwards, it's confidence builder. You can see he's a total different guy. And I know this offseason he's worked with Musa Muhammad on some routes, and that was a great job. I mean, you know, to take a receiver and say, okay, I need to learn this position. I need to learn how to run these routes. I need to build my confidence. And I'm seeing the proof of it.
Very smart indeed. Musa Muhammad still in the Charlotte area, one of the top receivers in the history of the franchise. Newton throwing that one away. Barnidge was covered all the way. And Armani also working with the jugs gun on returns. He wants to prove that he's going to not fumble it. He can be a great return man at this level. I mean, you can't even begin to describe the learning curve for Armani Edwards last year. A quarterback throughout his college career. He hadn't played receiver since like his freshman year in high school. So it wasn't as if, you know, he was a dual purpose guy in college. He was a quarterback and only a quarterback at Appalachian State. 3rd down and 10. Newton over the middle. Edwards just out of his reach. Well, that would have been fun.
Again, I know Cam wish he had this one back. Puts it on a rope just a little bit to the outside of Armani Edwards. Great route by Armani Edwards. No turnover. You know what? It's okay to get 3. You want to come away with some points. Yes, you would like 6, but 3 is okay, especially in a tight ball game when it's 10-10.
Mari, who has a career field goal percentage of 81%. This one's from 39. And this one is true. So it looks like the Panthers will take the lead into the half after all. Pretty good hurry-up offense led by Cam Newton and Armani Edwards. Just 11 seconds remaining in the first half, and the Panthers regain the lead. We've seen Jimmy Clausen, we've seen Cam Newton, and my guess is we might see more of Cam in the second half.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. You know, how much time do you get him under center? You know, you only got one offensive line. How far? Who's protecting him? You want to make sure you get some work, but he gets out of there unscathed to get to the next week.
Speaking of next week, our next telecast will be on a Friday night. We'll be down in South Florida. The Panthers taking on the Dolphins, 7:30 Eastern time. We look forward to having you on board. Cam Newton, Jimmy Clausen, Angelo Williams. Hopefully we'll see Steve Smith back on the field offensively, and maybe some of the guys defensively that have been nicked up, guys like Beeson and Davis. Perhaps we'll see them as well in this new defense coached by Sean McDermott. Devin Thomas back to receive the kickoff for the Giants. We'll be in Miami. The following week we'll be in Cincinnati, where they have had a number of changes. That franchise has had a facelift on offense. And then the capper will be a home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll be a Thursday night special. No chance for a return here. Well, he can try, but when you've got 2 feet on the chalk, that's pretty much an illegal move.
Absolutely.
You know, Lindo Mari, he's been able to lead the league in touchbacks for several years now when the ball was placed on the 30. Now from the 35, I mean, he can, this is like taking candy from a baby. He can just kick it in the end zone all year long.
Well, especially when you have some dangerous kick returners back there. And if you can take that guy off the field by kicking it out the end zone or into the end zone and getting touchbacks, that's only going to help this team.
Looks like the Giants are content with taking a knee here. And that's exactly what they'll do. So an entertaining first half. The first half of football for Cam Newton, Ron Rivera, a buzz in the crowd here at Bank of America Stadium. Stay tuned. Our post-game, or halftime show rather, is coming up. Pete Hannity got a lot in store for you. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Halftime on a beautiful night in downtown Charlotte. Mike Morgan alongside Mike Rucker. And, Mike, an entertaining first half. I think the fans were entertained by a lot of different things, particularly by the quarterbacks. That was the story coming into this game as we take a look at the first half highlights. And for Jimmy Clausen, things started off a little bit shaky, a pick early on. You'll see that here. But after this pick, Mike, he really started to get into a rhythm and eventually threw his first touchdown pass.
Well, he ended up settling down. That's what you're looking at, a pro. He hits Greg Olsen in there for a touchdown. That's what you want to use your tight ends for. He did a great job. He comes back here. This is Cam, who throws his body in there for a block on the reverse, and then threads the needle again for another touchdown. You got a field goal right here. This offense is really moving the ball. It's really settled down. The defense, they threw that pick early on, but the offense has settled down.
Let's take a look at our halftime statistics brought to you by the Bank of America as we see part of those statistics coming in the scoring column for Lindo Mari, the new kicker for the Carolina Panthers. And Mike, pretty impressive numbers overall for the Panthers statistically.
Well, they got 208 yards total yards. What I like is they're got 2 touchdowns. They got 2 touchdowns. They got 2 turnovers, but they got 2 field goals too. They need to be better on third down. Both teams need to be better on third down conversions. But the points on the board are going to be the tall tale. Who can have the most points and win this football game is really what it boils down to. This offense has moved the ball, and that's what you haven't seen in the past, and it is a positive note in the right way.
So the second half about to begin. The Giants will get the football first. Cam Newton, the question now becomes, will we see more of Cam in half number 2? There's no question they want to give him a bunch of reps. They're not worried about guys getting injured. I mean, that's part of the game. That's always going to be a concern. But both these quarterbacks, this is not a situation where you have a veteran who knows the system and then you have a young guy that you give most of the reps. These are 2 young guys in a new system that still have a lot of learning to do in these 4 preseason games. So we're going to see plenty of Clausen and Cam Newton. That is for sure. Amari again kicks it deep and no return for the Giants' Devin Thomas. Well, we're a lot like you folks out there. We're getting involved in the Twitter age, and in the second half we'll be reading some of your questions and comments. You can tweet us at Panthers TV. Panthers TV. Go ahead and tweet us during the second half, and probably somewhere in the fourth quarter we'll get a chance to read some of your questions and comments on the air. And we'll use that as some of our talking points in the fourth quarter. You're a Twitter guy, right, Mike?
I do a little bit.
I'm
trying to get in with this new age.
Ruckus 84, RUCKUZ.
Yes, yes.
Morgan on air, if you'd like to give us a shout. We look forward to hearing from you throughout the year. First carry by Ware, strung out after a couple. The Giants offensively, we saw a good deal of Eli Manning before Sage Rosenfels came into the game. They also have David Carr on the roster. David Carr, the former Carolina Panther, former #1 pick. In fact, kind of an interesting note on this game. We have 3 #1 picks from the NFL draft. Cam Newton, Eli Manning, and that man, David Carr. On 2nd down and 8. Rosenfels slings it and completes it to 87. That's Hickson. And that is a first down. Jordan Sen on the tackle. 12 yards on the reception.
Jordan Sen, he's been active today early on. He's a guy that can make the tackle after the hit. Sage just drops back and just finds a little hole in this zone defense. You got to be able to tackle. Jordan's there to do that.
Jordan Sen has been a busy man tonight. On 1st down, handoff Ware. Keeps the legs churning and picks up about 4 or 5 yards before Nick Hayden, 3rd-year man out of Wisconsin, brings him down.
You know, here we are in the 3rd quarter. I mean, Nick Hayden, I mean, he's a guy that's got action before. And, you know, you could look at him as being a veteran guy, especially with these younger guys that are in the starting lineup right now.
Well, there's no question he plays a position that is a major question mark this year. Corey Irvin has not played a whole lot. Right now, he's a starter. Sione Fua is a rookie out of Stanford. Right now, he's a starter. They hope to have Ron Edwards, as that pass is nearly picked off, and that would have been 6. Kendrick Burney, an undrafted free agent out of North Carolina.
Makes a great play on the ball. The quarterback showing where he's going. And I know he wished he had that one again, because that is definitely, again, a pick 6. You got to bring it in, though. You got to catch that. You got to be aggressive. But he knocked the ball down. They live to see another day.
Burney's in a battle. You know, we were just talking about defensive tackles. We know Chris Gamble's going to be one. We don't know who the other starter is going to be. Right now, Captain Munnerlyn is slated for that role, but they need to fill out the depth chart there as well. Rosenfeld finds a wide open man underneath at the 47-yard line. That is 1st down yardage for Victor Cruz. 9-yard reception, and that'll move the chains for New York. But, you know, C.J. Wilson is a guy there. We've called out the name of R.J. Stanford a bunch tonight. You've got Robert McClain. They picked up Shevis Jackson, the former Atlanta Falcon. Brandon Hogan, Cletus Gordon. There's a lot of battles going on right now, and these second halves of these games where we see some of the backups, believe you me, it means everything to the players on the field fighting for a roster spot. And a penalty flag here on 1st down.
False start. Offense number 79. 5-yard penalty and still 1st down.
That is Javon Meredith, the former South Carolina Gamecock, and a couple of former Gamecocks on the roster for the Giants. Jarrell King, another offensive lineman, trying to make the team. I'll tell you, overall, Mike, we've seen a few false start penalties. We've seen a couple of turnovers, but for the first week of the preseason, this has not been nearly as sloppy as I thought it would be.
You're right. You're right. It has not been sloppy. There hasn't been a whole lot of false starts. You look at all the time that's been missed. Hey, I think if you can get out of this game with it being like this, I think both sides would be happy as far as in the penalty category.
Right.
There hasn't been any really dumb penalties. A couple, like you said, a couple false starts, but that's about it.
That was only the 2nd penalty on the Giants. And keep in mind, for the Panthers, it's not just the first preseason game. It is a brand new offense and a brand new defense. So a lot of times when that's the case, guys are, the game is almost too fast at this point. You see a lot of careless mistakes. Not so far. On 2nd down, Rosenfels is blasted behind the line by Thomas Williams, 2nd-year linebacker out of Southern Cal. A loss of 8 for the Giants.
This is a great job by this whole defense. And this takes time for this middle linebacker to come down the middle and to get the sack. You got to tip your hat off to the secondary who held up the receivers long enough for that that linebacker to make that run and get that sack. Again, aggressive defense. We're going to blitz, and if we blitz, you got to make it. You take it, you got to make it.
2nd sack of the night. That sets up a 3rd and 21 for the Giants. Panthers send 4. Pass complete. And that'll be well shy of the marker. The Giants will have to punt it away. So the blitz, the big play of that drive for the Panthers defense. And that's one of the things John Beeson mentioned. He said, you know, this defense, we're going to be blitz happy and we're going to be aggressive much more than last year.
Well, if you blitz, you got to be sound. That means guys got to know their assignments. And if we're going to send the house, you got to be responsible to know the play and to do your part.
Armani Edwards has done his part tonight. A big catch, a couple of good returns. A chance for another one here from the 11. Tries to turn the corner. He's lassoed down, and that's going to be a penalty at the 15. A whole lot of face mask on that tackle. Either a face mask or a horse collar. Take your pick, but either way, it's going to move the Panthers up a few yards.
On the return, personal foul, horse collar number 35 by the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's on Andre Brown, and it looks like we're going to see Cam Newton on another drive when we return. The Panthers leading it 13-10. 13-10 our score. The Panthers leading the Giants in this first preseason game of the year from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. The rain has cooled things off here tonight. Pretty comfortable Saturday night. In mid-August, Cam Newton back on the field for some more work. Mike Goodson dots the I. Newton fires, complete to Fiammetta. Fiammetta lowers the shoulder and staggers forward to the 45, and that'll be a first down.
Well, let's look at Cam Newton a little bit more. I think he's done it well. His very first play, drops off to Greg Olsen. Here comes a big block for the big guy, getting David Clowney down the field on that reverse, and then he threads the needle down the middle again to his tight end. He gets sacked here, but you know what? He's making guys miss. He can make that first guy miss. He's still making plays with his big body and his athleticism and his strong arm.
He's thrown for $119 thus far, and he's got some time to add to that number. Goodson on first down. Probes the right side, picks up about 3. Marshall in on the stop for the Giants.
You know, the one thing, if I was an outsider and I just plopped into a seat and I didn't know who Cam Newton was and I was watching, I would not think that he was a rookie. He has been calm. He's been poised. He's been making the throws. I think they're making some good offensive plays for him, rolling them out, not just sitting him back there, coming out underneath center and in the shotgun. They're doing a good job on the play calling.
2nd and 6. Goodson off right tackle. And a pretty good lick delivered there near the Giants sideline. Aaron Ross. Well, Mike Goodson really burst onto the scene last season. He finally got the opportunity and he took advantage of it. 103 carries, 452 yards. He led the team with 3 touchdowns. He caught 40 passes, and as a kickoff returner, he was one of the best in the league last year. So Mike Goodson really made a name for himself last season. It's easy to get lost in the shuffle when you have double trouble, but he gives them a really good change of pace back. 3rd and 4. Quick toss by Newton, in and out of the hands of David Clowney. Nothing wrong with the throw there. Witherspoon blanketing on the coverage.
Yeah, you got to squeeze it. You got to squeeze that. It's a nice throw. He pushes it in there. Strong arm. That receiver's got to squeeze the ball and come down with it.
Darius Raynaud to return the punt from Jason Baker, who's now in his 11th year out of the University of Iowa. Came to the Panthers in 2005. And now we get a little bit of that sloppiness that we avoided.
False start, offense number 47. 5-yard penalty is still 4th.
Get him out of the way now.
Do it quick.
That'll get Ron Rivera a little bit more excited.
It hasn't been too sloppy like we talked about. They got to. I guess they got to give the special teams coach something to talk about and to teach him on.
Baker. This one could be a good one. Good bounce. Retrieved at the 5 and nothing doing. Great coverage there by Gary Barnidge. A 49-yard punt and just a 3-yard return. One of the Wild Panthers statues outside. 13-10 our score. Back after a word of your local Panthers station. Panthers 13, Giants 10. Mike Morgan, Mike Rucker with you. And that man, if he looks familiar, he should. Ron Meeks, the only holdover from the coaching staff a year ago. He was the defensive coordinator and obviously didn't have a ton to work with because the offense, when you have the last ranked offense in the league, Mike, obviously your defense is going to be put in a lot of very precarious situations, but overall did a fine job. He's the secondary coach now and a guy that really made his name in coaching defensive backs.
And that's good that they kept him over. It's a two-headed sword. You get a defensive coordinator that's also teaching your backs.
A pattern in the flat, complete by Rosenfels to Devin Thomas. Gain of 7 on the play.
You have more guys. When you talk about Ron Meeks and some of the things that he did, in the years past, last couple of years, now he's your defensive back coach. But when it's time to game plan, for the next team, you're getting a defensive coordinator also in there and throwing his thoughts in there. So that's a plus for this defense.
On 2nd and 3. And again, little two-man game right now between Rosenfels and Devin Thomas out of Michigan State. 6 yards on that play. Robert McLean on the coverage. He's a second-year man from Connecticut. A lot of DBs fighting for spots in that secondary. Captain Munnerlyn not playing in tonight's game, but he will be back in all likelihood next week. Nothing serious. Sideline route incomplete again, looking for Thomas. And they're picking on Robert McLean a little bit right now.
Did a great job. You did a great job. I mean, he's competing, and that's what you want out of your corner. You're out there all alone. The guy's got to step on him. Had a good look back and got his hand in there to disrupt that path. But you're out there alone. He's competing.
Second down and 10. On the ground. Not much doing. Charles Scott. Let's check out some of the other scores around the NFL on our Bud Light scoreboard. Green Bay, the defending champions, taking on the Cleveland Browns, 24-17 in the 4th there. Chicago leading Buffalo 7-3 in the 3rd. The Rams all over Indianapolis 30-10. When will Peyton Manning be healthy? And Tennessee up on Minnesota 14-3. Third and 6. Complete and very close. It's Reynard on the reception. It's going to depend on the spot. Again, McLean on the coverage. That might need a measurement. Very close.
Defensive line, they're going to have to get some pressure. When you have your corner out there all by himself, it's a toss catch. It's a close call, but the defensive line's got to keep that pressure up. They can't leave their secondary out there all alone. Looks like it's going to come up a little short. Maybe see a little goal line, short yardage right here.
Yeah, this is the difference between regular. Yeah, if it's regular season, it's a no-brainer. You punt the football. Preseason, sometimes you throw caution to the wind, but Tom Coughlin is going to punt it away.
We got a football on the field.
And the backup punter, and now Weatherford. And it looks like a new return man, Armani Edwards, not back to receive this one. Instead, it is Polaris, the rookie out of Hawaii. Harris almost lost it and then took a walloping hit at about the 17-yard line. 52-yard punt, no return. Back with more from Charlotte in a moment. Panthers up by a field goal, 13-10 our score with 5:18 remaining in the third quarter, which has been scoreless thus far. Cam Newton back out for another drive. He has received the majority of the snaps tonight. Jimmy Clausen throwing a touchdown pass earlier in this game to Greg Olsen. That accounting for the only touchdown tonight for the Panthers. 2 field goals by Olindo Mare, a 3-point lead now, and we'll see what the offense can do here. To the ground, and Goodson muscles forward for a couple. We have not seen Tyrell Sutton thus far tonight. He's the other running back, and he's a pretty good back as well. I mean, they've really, when you talk about the positions this team is extremely solid and deep at, running back, linebackers, and depending on a couple of spots, Mike, maybe even offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely deep at the running back position, and each running back brings a different talent to the field. Definitely offensive line, get guys healthy, you'll be fine.
On second down, Newton held it behind Goodson, but a penalty flag. And it might be on Kenny Ingram of the Giants. It takes a lot to slow Mike Goodson down on a route.
Illegal contact. Defense number 43. There's a 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
That's one way to slow him down, Mike.
You'll see Ingram coming from the right side. He just gets a little bump on Goodson, and he's passed down the field. Ball's behind him a little bit, but hey, we'll take that, and you move the sticks. The thing about Mike Goodson, we just talked about the running backs bringing something different to the table. You can spread him out, and he's like a wide receiver.
Right.
I mean, that's hard to defend against that, especially if you have to put a linebacker on him.
Yeah, he's really the most versatile of the 3 running backs. And again, in terms of breakaway speed, he takes a back seat to no one. First down, Newton cocks and fires, complete over the middle and then on the ground, and it will be incomplete. No fumble. They'll say he didn't have it long enough, and that's probably good news. Otherwise, it would be Giant football. Aaron Ross stripping Armani Edwards, and this is something Armani's going to have to work on.
Yes, Cam Newton is throwing the ball well. He put that on a rope. He stuck it in there to Armani Edwards. He's got to squeeze it. He's got it. He's got to squeeze it. He's got to fight for it. But the young rookie in Cam Newton is putting the ball where he should. In camp, there was some talk, hey, there's a couple balls low, high. He's putting it on the money in game time. He's a gamer.
Second down and 10 for Cam Newton. And company here. Newton lobs it to Goodson. Goodson dances out of a tackle at the 30 and gets all the way near the marker at the 38. That was all Mike Goodson. Marvin Austin, the 2nd-round pick out of North Carolina, on the stop.
You know what? You need a running back that can stay on his feet after contact. Just a little swing screen, little contact, stays on 1 feet like a ballerina and gets close to a first down.
They mark him out, that right foot touching out at the 36. So an 8-yard gain, 3rd down and 2 now. That's the tight end, Barnage, in motion. The Panthers 0 of 8 on 3rd down. And that'll be 0 for 9 as David Clowney covered well again. So the drive stalls. The Panthers will punt it away. Cam Newton will go back and probably have a few words with Armani Edwards. 2 guys that still have a lot to learn. Cam Newton, his first year in the league. Armani Edwards, really the first opportunity to play some wide receiver. There was talk about that last year, but Armani barely touched the field. Renaud back to receive the punt. Bounce at the 25 and no chance for a return here. So the Giants will have it at the 22 with 3:42 remaining, a 42-yard punt. And we're back from Bank of America Stadium after this. With Mike Rucker, I'm Mike Morgan here at Bank of America Stadium on a Saturday night, 13-10 our score. The Panthers leading as we Check in with some of the numbers. Total yards, 227. Quarterbacks, pretty impressive numbers overall. 10 of 22, $188. Touchdown pass from Clausen. And defensively, Robert McClain leading the way with 5 tackles. Salty on 3rd down. Special team-wise, Armani Edwards with 2 great punt returns. Kickoff returns have been solid as well. Again, a pretty well-played first game for both sides. As Rosenfels goes to the air on 1st down and completes it. That is the number 86, Bear Pasco.
You know, we talked about tight ends, and the Giants know tight ends too, and they're using theirs. It's a big body right there. That's a big body to field for. You got to get that ball out of there if you can compete with it.
Rosenfels now 12 of 16 for 119 yards. Oh, wow. A punishing hit there by Andre Neblett. Neblett, a 2nd-year man out of Temple.
This is how you play. If you're a youngster looking at the D-line, this is how you play. You get off, you stick your foot and redirect, and the big fella says, no, no, no. You're going down right here. That's the kind of play that you're looking for from a defensive lineman, especially the inside guys. You want to see if they can put their foot in the dirt and redirect.
Right now, you want to see as many highlights as you can from those inside guys. Terrell McClain, the rookie out of South Florida, also on the field right now. And there is McClain, number 97. Gets his big paws on the ball carrier. Just a gain of about a yard. Terrell McClain, a 3rd-round pick. He and Fua, both defensive tackles, selected in the 3rd round, and both guys are going to play a lot of minutes this year.
And when you look at the rushing, where the defense ranked last year, they have room to improve. But this is how you improve when you have young defensive linemen doing these kind of things, stuffing the run, and getting 3rd and long to where you can tee off on this offense and get after the quarterback.
Panthers have been good defensively on 3rd down. The Giants just 2 of 11. Complete and lunging forward for the 1st down. That is Devin Thomas. So a fresh set of downs after a 10-yard gain.
Well, one of the things, if you're going to blitz, they pick up the blitz. This linebacker, you got to get on your guy. You can't have your eyes peeking back in the backfield. You got to lock on your guy. You got to trust your teammates, and the blitz is going to get there to help you out. His eyes got caught in the backfield, and that's what allowed that guy to catch the ball and turn it up on him.
You saw Kevin Gilbride, one of the longtime offensive coordinators in pro football over the years. Rosenfels finally misses a target. Been pretty precise thus far. Intended for Renard.
Yeah, Robert McClain, he's earned his paycheck tonight. He's been in there, he's sticking his nose on the tackle. They've tested him on the outside. His condition, he must be well because he's hanging in there. He's had some balls downfield, but he's hanging in there.
Panthers rush 4, 2nd down and long. And a pickup of about 3. And off to Charles Scott. Mike, I want to ask you, we've talked about the new system, the new coordinator, and this is going to be a more aggressive defense, a more blitz happy. Last year it was more that Tampa 2 read and react. As a former defensive player, which scheme did you prefer to play in?
You like to press the envelope. You like to be aggressive and dictate to the offense what you want them to do. When you read and react, you're a little bit soft. It's a little bit more conservative. It works at times, but as a player, if I can dictate what the offense is going to do, that's what I want.
You saw Sean McDermott working in the booth. He says he's used to working on the field. He's going to give it a try. Over the middle, incomplete. Nice play. That was McClain again. Boy, he has been all over the place tonight.
Yeah, he says he wants to make this football club. He wants to make the football club, and that's the way you do it. I think that was Kendrick Burney.
That is Burney, 26, not 36.
That's a great play. That's a great play. The guy had a step on him, but he reached out, he left his feet, and he got his hand in there. Broke up the pass.
Here's a guy fighting for a spot. Undrafted free agent out of North Carolina. trying to add to the legacy of Tar Heels to play for the Panthers. 4th down now, and the Panthers are going to go for it. 4th and 7. Panthers will call timeout. As the Giants were trying to catch the Panthers off guard on 4th and 7. We'll take the timeout with them. 10 seconds to play, 3rd quarter. Back after a word from your local Panthers station. 10 seconds remaining, 3rd quarter of play. The Panthers leading it 13-10. We mentioned our Twitter handle earlier, Panthers TV. If you have any questions for us that we can help answer tonight. This one from I Am Javon. What's the most impressive thing you've seen about Cam Newton so far? Mike, I think you hit on one of the things. He's not in awe of his surroundings. Very confident. He's been very accurate tonight, and at no point has he looked lost out there.
I think he's been poised. That's what I like about him, his play tonight. He's been poised. It doesn't look like he's been rattled. It looks like he's had, 5-6 games underneath his belt. I think he's done a good job in that category.
And we'll see if Cam gets another drive out of this ball game tonight. Maybe more. Punishing block on a ball that was not returned. A 42-yard punt that sails into the end zone. The Panthers will have it at the 20. And yes, number 1 will head back out onto the field. No shortage of reps tonight with the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, Cam Newton.
Well, some people might be surprised that, you're at the bottom of the 3rd quarter. But you know what? This guy needs to get reps. He hasn't been hit a whole lot tonight, right. So the offensive line has done a great job of keeping him off of him. So, the coaching staff say, hey, let's keep him in there. Let's push the envelope and get as many reps as we can.
Let's see what he does under live fire. Practice is one thing, but you got to do it under the lights. That's one of the things Rob Trzynski talked about earlier this week. How is Cam going to respond in front of a crowd against an opposing defense? 2-yard gain there, and that should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. The Panthers still leading it 13-10. Back with more of the action in just a moment. 15 minutes left to play. If you think things can't change in 15 minutes, check out Geico after the game. In as little as 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico. Mike Morgan with Mike Rucker. Panthers leading it 13-10. It was Jimmy Clausen starting this game. He threw a touchdown pass. It's been Cam Newton ever since. Newton has thrown some nice balls tonight, has made some plays, and trying to get the Panthers back into the end zone as Goodson puts it on the ground. And luckily for him, it rolls out of bounds. If there is one knock on Mike Goodson's game, yes, it has been fumbles.
It is, and that's going to be the quickest way you're not going to get on the field and to the bench is if you give the ball up. And if there is a knock on Mike Goodson, it's going to be that he cannot hang on to the ball. And that's something that he's got to continue to work with. With the speedster, sometimes they like to run like they're in track and keep the ball out there. He's got to protect it because that's the quickest way you'll get on the bench.
On 3rd down and 9, Newton rifles over the middle, caught right near the marker. Bank of America 3rd quarter stats. Rushing yards about even, passing yards just about everything even except the time of possession where the Giants have an edge, but overall this has been a close game throughout. Panthers would love to see another touchdown. This offense for Carolina last year, 17 touchdowns. 17. Fans wanted the Panthers to go for it on 4th and a couple of inches near the 30.
Well, that's one thing that you get with the big quarterback in Cam Newton. When it gets to, 4th and inches or on the goal line, it's a big body that can punch through.
This is Anthony Santella trying to show what he can do. And it takes a giant bounce. Giants will have it at the 33-yard line. Back with more from Bank of America Stadium in just a moment. Ron Rivera in his first ever game as a head coach at the NFL level. Animated throughout tonight's ball game, excited. He said he's out there playing to win. He didn't want to hear this, well, preseason games, they don't matter, win or loss. He said, no, it matters to me. I want to see what our team does, particularly in a game like this, a close game. So far, so good, a 3-point lead. A jump ball, in essence, and it's caught at the 30-yard line by Michael Clayton. And a flag on the play. 37-yard hookup. That quarterback that you see is Ryan Perrilloux. He's had an interesting road to the NFL. A lot of expectations coming out of LSU. He eventually got dismissed from LSU. Wound up playing at Jacksonville State. And is now in the NFL.
Pass interference. Defense and safety is declined. The play results. First down.
You know, it's the fourth quarter of a preseason game when the referee just says the safety as opposed to the number, having a hard time keeping up with all the substitutions. There have been plenty. Ball spotted inside the 30. Perrilloux. And here comes some of that sloppiness. We have fended it off for 3 quarters.
Call these mental errors, MEs. Little problem with the mouthpiece. Might be a little nervous. A little nervous. He's like, the heck with it.
Did we put that in the fumbles category?
Yes. Hopefully none of the guys saw that.
Well, we made sure everybody did now.
Well, there's probably a lot of people wondering, it hit the ground. Do you think he found it or put it back in the mouth?
On first and long. Pretty good hole on the left side for Darrell Scott, 6th-round draft pick at the University of Maryland.
Well, here's Coach Coughlin. He's not happy about something. And this is one of the coaches that you talk about animation. He's not happy right now. Something didn't go his way.
I'd say he's into the game. 2nd and 6. Perrilloux completes it in the flat to 45. Henry Hanaski, one of the fullbacks on the roster for the Giants. All right, about 90 players now. Pretty soon the cuts start coming. The roster gets thinned. And the Panthers are in a unique spot because not only do they have a lot of battles going on for backups, there's a pretty good amount of battles for starters. When you think about it, there's some spots on the defensive line. We don't know who the number 2 wideout's going to be. We don't know who the number 2 cornerback is going to be.
There's definitely some room for competition.
Yeah. On 3rd and 7. Blitz coming, and a walloping hit near the 40 causes that pass to fall short. Thomas Williams, he's been active, and he has been a supply of energy tonight for the Panthers defense.
Once again, this is a blitz that's going to take time. Coming right up the middle, getting hits. Yes, no, he didn't get the sack, but you know what? He got a strong hit on the quarterback. Quarterbacks don't like that. Thomas Williams, he's had a couple hits on the quarterback. That's what you like to see as a defensive coordinator, getting on top of that quarterback and making him uncomfortable.
This is a 44-yard attempt by Lawrence Tynes. And it's blocked. And out of bounds. A block by 49, Sean Ware.
You can see the excitement down there. This doesn't happen all the time. But you get another special teams big play. This is what this team is about, a change of the guard, and we're going to a local break.
Well, another look at the block of Tynes' field goal attempt, who's now 1 of 4. Once you make contact with the ball, you can make contact with the kicker, but that's not going to make Tynes feel any better, as this is a scary sight for any kicker, right around that knee. New quarterback for the Panthers is the veteran Derek Anderson, 6th year out of Oregon State. He's thrown for over 9,000 yards Pro Bowler back in 2007 with the Browns. Held off to 32. That's Josh Vaughn. Vaughn out of Richmond. And a penalty flag on the field.
Holding. Offense number 77. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Byron Bell, the rookie out of New Mexico. Now Derek Anderson, we talked about what a roller coaster ride it's been for a couple of guys in this game. Derek Anderson would certainly define that. A Pro Bowler in 2007, and Cleveland thought they had their franchise quarterback, and he came out of nowhere, and then quickly 2008 decline, 2009 decline. Eventually he winds up in Arizona. He starts 9 games last year. That didn't work so well, and this is going to be interesting, Mike Rucker, to see how Derek Anderson responds with a new city here.
Well, I remember that year where he had a great year. And I think that they're hoping that he still has a little bit of that left if need be.
There's a reception by 83 Charlie Martin. 15 yards, Derek Anderson. As we look at the Bud Light scoreboard now, a final. The Browns, speaking of Derek Anderson's former team, a 10-point victory over the Packers. Chicago leading Buffalo 10-3. St. Louis all over Indianapolis. And Tennessee leading Minnesota 14-3. St. Louis and Detroit, who have been doormats here the last few years, there's some expectations now for those two teams. Back to the ground for the Panthers. And back to Josh Vaughn, number 32. There's Tynes going to the locker room, and obviously you hope that he's okay. Don't want to see anybody get hurt. Most of the injuries this year have not been in the preseason games. They've been in practice. And Mike, have you ever seen so many torn Achilles in just a few weeks' time?
Not that many. And I think if you go around from team to team, they would probably say there's probably been a little bit of an uptick in some of the injuries that are going on. And probably due to non-contact and, being on your own, it's totally different than doing organized.
It's been scary thus far. On 3rd and short. And that'll move the chains again. Josh Vaughn, who's a great story of practice squad last year from 1AA or FCS level to Richmond. The Spiders, one of the premier programs at that level. Vaughn obviously running behind some very talented backs. That is the first 3rd down conversion tonight for the Panthers, now 1 out of 11.
Now that's one area that coach will look at and want to improve on 3rd down. That 3rd down is going to continue the drive. They've had some big plays, but they got to get better on 3rd down and move the chains more.
1st and 10. Anderson has time, fires, tipped, and still caught. And that'll be another 1st down. Charlie Martin, right place, right time. You'll take him any way you can get him.
Charlie Martin, he's a guy that you might hear a little bit on special teams, but here's a great example of him saying, you know what, I know I can make the team by special teams, but I can also show him I'm a receiver. Comes in, concentration. The ball is tipped, but he keeps his eyes on the ball. They do tip drills all the time in practice, catches his ball, and is quickly alerted to jump up and keep running and grab a couple extra yards.
Panthers on the move. Derek Anderson orchestrating a nice drive thus far on 1st down and 10. Vaughn behind the fullback. They feed him again, and this time he goes in reverse. Good defensive surge there by Sims.
When you come into this year, you have 2 young quarterbacks, and you're saying, man, where are we going to get this veteran quarterback? You pick up Derek Anderson, who knows the system, kind of gives you that safety valve, knows the offense, can produce if called upon. You don't need to call upon. You don't want to call upon him. But if he was called upon, you feel comfortable with him orchestrating the offense.
And he's a mentor. He's
a teacher. He's going to teach these young guys.
Right. 2nd down, a little flare route, far side. And they're down the sideline into the end zone for a touchdown. That is 81, the rookie out of Hawaii, Kealoha Polaris. 35 yards. 2nd touchdown of the night for the Panthers.
You got to love it. You got to love it. Derek Anderson, just a nice little swing pass to the outside. Nothing fancy. The receiver does the rest. Charlie Martin has the block on this. That is key. He stayed on his block that allows players to get into the end zone. Nice catch. Nice catch.
And a nice run after the catch by the speedster. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. He played in the nation's top-ranked passing offense. He actually had 18 catches in one game. A former running back,
catches. That's a lot of catches.
That's a season for a lot of guys.
He knows how to catch the ball then.
And he has shown some signs of being a good one in practice and a good chance of making this team. Kanalik, the backup kicker, knocks it through for the extra point of the Panthers. Extend the lead to 10. Nice drive for Derek Anderson, the veteran, liking life on that drive. Panthers now lead it by 10, 20-10 our score, fourth quarter. A look at our Belk scoring drive. A guy that hopes to factor into the offense this year. Polaris, a 35-yard touchdown reception. Derek Anderson flawless on that drive. Charlie Martin, a couple of big catches, 3 of 3, 71 yards and a touchdown. And for the biggest lead of the night now for Carolina, 10 points. Thomas back to receive the kickoff. Kanalik will kick it from the 35. It's still weird seeing the ball spotted there. It's been since the early 90s that we watched NFL kickers kick it from that close in. Nice open field tackle. And that's R.J. Stanford. He's made plenty of plays in the secondary and a nice play on special teams as well. Giants take over when we return. 7:10 remaining in this one. The Panthers leading at 20-10. 2 offensive touchdowns and 2 field goals. As we go to our second Twitter question of the night. Panthers TV on the tweet. Which second-year player will have the biggest impact this year? Eric Norwood, Armani Edwards, or Jimmy Clausen? Mike Rucker, I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
I would say what I've seen tonight in tonight's game only, I would have to say Armani Edwards. He has made the most strides and is impacting in the receiving and in special teams.
I would go along with that. I want to see a bigger body of work from all those guys. Shifty run there for about 8 yards, but Armani Edwards, at times tonight, he stole the show.
Well, he did. You know, great vision here where he cuts backfield. Most coaches say don't do that, but if you do it, you got to make it, and he made it and made a big play. Look at the feet. Look at the feet. Stop, go, turn. Stop, go, turn. That's what you like. Now in the receiving, I can catch the ball too. I used to be a quarterback, but I can catch. Just a little outside his reach right there.
A long horizontal run there before Chevis Jackson brings down the ball carrier. That winds up being a loss of 5 on the play, as you see Armani Edwards. And for more on Armani Edwards, let's go down to the field and send it to Pete Yannity. Pete?
Well, Mike, as folks know, Armani Edwards came to the NFL last year as a wide receiver, relatively cold to the position, having been a star quarterback in college. This coaching staff, though, has really embraced the fact of Edwards being in the mix at a wideout. And, you know, Ron Rivera made a great point. As a college quarterback, you're not used to the conditioning that a wide receiver needs, perhaps running 30 or 40 yards on several plays in a row, then running back to the huddle. So Rivera says he's really noticed a change in that in Edwards. And as far as the return game goes, during the lockout, we're told that Armani Edwards often called Panthers punter Jason Baker to work out with him and get as many reps in as he could, returning punts from Baker. And again, we've seen some evidence he's improved in that area tonight as well.
Well, we certainly have. And look, you don't rack up nearly 15,000 yards, I don't care what level it is, without being able to make some plays. That's what Armani Edwards did at Appalachian State. He hasn't played wideout since his junior year at Greenwood High School, so he's still learning, and there's a learning curve that is certainly underway for Edwards. But a lot of things that we've been waiting to see last year, we hoped to have seen it. Tonight we have seen it. Polaris back to receive the punt, and now he's got to go in reverse, drops it, and is lucky to recover it. Looked like he might have lost that one in the lights. Tonight, Our belt player watch, we've had the binoculars on D'Angelo Williams and in limited duty. Williams racking up 39 total yards, and the best news about Williams, he's healthy.
I thought he did a great job in the limited time that he had. Ran the ball well, a couple of swing passes out there, a couple screens. He made some things happen. I think that he showed the coaching staff like, hey, I still got it, especially when he's healthy. When you have these guys healthy, Jonathan Stewart said this is the first time he's been healthy, going into training camp. That's a positive sign for the Panther Nation and for this organization. When you have those two guys healthy, it's going to be double trouble.
It's nice to see Jonathan Stewart on the field. We haven't seen him in the last 2 preseasons. He's always been battling an injury. With both guys healthy now, and hopefully that'll remain the case throughout a grueling 16-game regular season. We know when they are healthy, they can put up some major numbers. Double trouble 2 years ago. Each running back amassing 1,100 yards. First time in NFL history that happened. 17 touchdowns between the two. And maybe the number that impresses me the most, both running backs averaging over 5 yards a carry in a day and age where if a running back averages a little over 4, he's ahead of the curve.
Well, I'm not a math major, but that means you just hand them the ball a couple times, you got a first down. The thing that amazes me is that these two play the same position, and they're cohesive. It works. They're not arguing over catches or runs or how many times they're touching the ball.
Yeah, they don't seem to be overly concerned about it. False start penalty will back the Panthers up 5 here. And all finals now in the other games tonight, so we are officially at the nightcap. Bud Light scoreboard. The Browns a winner. The Chicago Bears in a low-scoring affair against Buffalo. St. Louis blows out Indy. Tennessee better than Minnesota. And of course our score here, the Panthers up by 10, 20-10 with the football. Derek Anderson still under center for Carolina. Pump and go, and incomplete. Secondary read that one all the way. I always love that route. It's intended for Brockle, one of the undrafted tight ends. When you get the defensive back to bite on that, that usually is a big play.
Yeah, he got the defensive line to jump early on the pump fake, but the corner didn't really bite on it. Had the inside on him, so that was kind of a dangerous throw that he kind of got lucky with, that wasn't intercepted.
Third down and 14. Conservative play call here. And that'll bring the punting unit onto the field. Well, Mike Goodson had a fumble earlier, and this was just a few moments ago. Ron Rivera, the head coach, talking with his young running back, giving a little bit of counseling, a little bit of encouragement, probably at the same time a little bit of tough love, Mike, because one thing we've learned about Ron Rivera, he doesn't sugarcoat. He tells it like it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a teaching moment. You see him give him a quick little pat. Hey, you get strong on him, and then you give him the pat. Say it's okay. Got to hang on the ball.
Game clock. 4:31 on the game clock, please. Thank you.
Well, they'll add a few seconds on the game clock. That won't change the result of the play as the punting unit is on the field. Let's go back down to the field. Speaking of the P. Enemy.
Mike, we talked earlier tonight about how Ron Rivera makes his debut tonight as the Panthers head coach, and coming out on the field for the first time, he told us that he would probably feel some emotion, and it really was a journey to get to a head coaching job. He was one of those names you heard every year for the past 6 years or so about that guy who was on the verge of becoming a head coach. He finally landed this job in January, and what he did is tells us that his wife pointed out to him that finally he is in a situation where the timing and the fit are right. The Panthers were looking for a defensive-minded head coach. Rivera was looking for that right opportunity, and it all came together back on January 11th.
I think they've got a good one in Ron Rivera, and most of the people that have talked about the job he's done over the years have said as much. It's just a matter of time before he got that head coaching opportunity, and I think he fits in well with what the Panthers look to do from this point forward. Our Subway footlong play of the game not too long ago. Derek Anderson looking for the rookie. hitting Polaris, and Polaris takes care of the rest with that sprinter speed down the sideline, 35 yards, and route to the second touchdown tonight for the Carolina offense. And certainly Panther fans hope that Polaris will add to that receiving core, be a playmaker. They could use some. It can't all be Steve Smith. It's got to be some other guys this season. While we're speaking of wideouts, Mike, a tough blow. And, you know, it happens every year. You never get used to it. But David Geddes, who really showed signs last year of a guy who could make some plays, stretch the field vertically, the second-year man from Baylor, tears his ACL. He's out for the year.
And, you know, the coaching staff knows they're going to be guys that you're going to lose. But you got to look at the glass half full. Who's going to step up and take the opportunity to show this coaching staff that, hey, I belong on this team and I can be that receiver for you.
Second and short. First down yardage and then some. Jernigan grabs that one. Well, we talked about David Geddes. Brandon LaFell caught a couple of balls early in this game for Jimmy Clausen. And these two guys, they were rookies last year. They both made contributions. Geddes a little bit quicker. LaFell a little bit sturdier, a guy that you would maybe be more comfortable throwing the ball over the middle. But unfortunately, Geddes is out. He was battling for that number 2 spot. Now LaFell's battling. You've got Wegadoo Nene, who came over from San Diego. You've got Armani Edwards, that'll certainly be in the fold. We just saw Polaris on a big play tonight. Once you pass those guys on the roster, you've got a lot of young guys. Darvin Adams, David Clowney, Wallace Wright. You know, you got a lot of very unproven guys, Mike. So as it stands now, it almost looks like a 2 or 3 dog race, and LaFell and Nene would have to be the favorites.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to solidify that number 2 receiver spot and give it to somebody right now. I do think that there were some receivers tonight that showed some promise. They're heading in the right direction. That this is what the preseason is about. Hey, we'll look at these next 2-3 games and see if we can't find the number 2.
The former LSU Tiger, Ryan Perilou, tosses over the middle, complete, but a penalty flag near the line of scrimmage might bring this one back. With 3 minutes to play in this one, the Panthers hoping to start off the preseason 1-0, and they will have done so without Steve Smith. Hope to see Steve back in uniform next week. Nothing serious with that finger injury. He's got it taped up, just precautionary. But
offside, defense number 61, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Chances are we'll see Steve Smith very soon. And one thing about Steve Smith, he is as excited as anybody about this new offense.
You know, a guy that shows his emotion, you can see the excitement on his face, that he knows that he's got some weapons to take some pressure off of him. They're not just going to stick him in one spot. They're going to move him around. So there's some promise and some hope that he's looking forward to.
3rd down and 3. Here comes the blitz. Perilou tosses complete, but shy of the first down marker. Great pursuit there by the Panthers defense. Considine in on the stop. There's a guy that has been in the league for 7 years, 4 years with the Eagles. That's where Sean McDermott became very familiar with him. And this is one of the more talented backup safeties around.
It was a great play. You send a blitz. We talked about guys knowing their assignment. He ran. He was where he was supposed to be, and he held him off, and now it's 4th down.
And the Giants will go for it. Another blitz, and it's deflected at the line of scrimmage. Nice job by Tommy Duhart, I do believe, and a number of the backups in. Yeah, there he is, 62. Tommy Duhart at the defensive tackle.
Again, they're dialing up the blitz again. 37 Considine up in the quarterback space, but the big fella gets his paws up. They say on the D-line, if you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up on these low passing balls. And knocked it down, and they got off the field.
All right, 2:17 to go. This is the regular season. We play it real conservatively here, run out the clock, but we've got a lot of things to work on. Panthers might try to get back into the end zone.
Well, these are teaching moments. You know, you got 2 young quarterbacks. You know, you're almost at the 2-minute mark. These are teaching times that you can look on film.
Anderson Hands it off. Nice hole on the right side for Sutton. And Sutton carries some defenders with him past the 35. A first down, 11-yard pickup. And that will send us to the 2-minute warning. The Panthers 2 minutes away from going to 1-0 in the preseason. Back after a word from your local Panthers station. A few minutes out of the truck, into the stands, showing off some of his moves. Some of the fans left here, and on the sidelines, not dancing, but a lot of smiling. Your former teammate Steve Smith leading the way.
Well, it's something different when you're up, 20 to 10. This is the happiness and the smiles that you want to see. They missed some of this in that camaraderie that was going on in the offseason. When you're up and you're winning ball games and you see some positive stuff, that's the attitude that we said that re-energized. That's what you're seeing, and that's what you want to continue to build on.
A happy Steve Smith is a good Steve Smith.
Absolutely.
And hopefully he'll be happy throughout this season. First down carry. Our Pepsi players of the game tonight. Survey says Sage Rosenfels for the Giants. Looked very good when he was out there. And Armani Edwards, 46 return yards, 36 receiving yards. Easily the best we've seen him preseason or regular season.
He looked comfortable. He looked comfortable tonight. I really believe Pete talked about it earlier. You come from a quarterback that you drop 5, 6, 7 yards, and all of a sudden you're running 20 yards and having to come back. The conditioning has to be there, and I don't think he knew about that at that point in time. Now he does.
Little victory formation here for the Panthers. I want to remind everybody the announcers for this game are selected and compensated by the Carolina Panthers. This broadcast is a copyright presentation. Any use of this broadcast without the expressed permission of the National Football League and the Carolina Panthers is prohibited. Back to the sidelines. Pete Yannity, take it away.
A big part of this offseason, one of the strangest off seasons, of course, in NFL history, was the fact that players had to be proactive, take it upon themselves to get together and work out. Jordan Gross, one of the veteran players in this team, did a great job of gathering guys together, the ones who live in the Charlotte area, of course, and having workouts, especially during the month of June, and keeping a lot of cohesion when the team was unable to, as they normally would. So give a lot of credit to him as the Panthers wrap up an opening win here in preseason play.
No question about it. Good leadership by Jordan Gross, and a good moment for that man Ron Rivera. His first game as a head football coach. It'll go down as a win. The Panthers' new era begins with a 20-10 victory here tonight from Bank of America Stadium. Mike Rucker, some final thoughts.
Well, I think that you saw some great quarterback play in the youngsters. The biggest thing is you won and you score some touchdowns. That's what I'd like to see. You got to improve next week.
Carolina Panthers football has been brought to you by Pepsi. No matter where you're from, welcome home. Pepsi, born in the Carolinas. By Panthers Checking, only from Bank of America. By Bojangles, it's bow time at Bojangles. Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits is the official tailgating headquarters of the Carolina Panthers. By Sacrete, no matter what projects are in your lineup, Sacrete has the right concrete and masonry products for the job. Use what the pros use. Ask for Sacrete at your local home improvement store. And by Miller Lite. Man up. Choose on taste.
Much anticipation of this opening game of the preseason, and the Panthers wind up winning it by a final score of 20-10. Join us next Friday night in Miami when the Panthers take on the Dolphins. For Mike Rucker, this is Mike Morgan saying so long from Charlotte. We'll see you next time.
You've been watching the Carolina Panthers Television Network.